Uh, Thank you very much. We start the webinar and welcome to this series of webinar which IPTA has been holding for last 1.5 years. And I'm thankful to the team of Paul Beckham who is here from various parts of the country to present about lubricant, how important it is, and what best can be done by the paper mill fraternity to reduce the breakdown and improve the. With these words, over to Mr. Sanjay Singh, President of IPTA, for his remarks.
Yeah. Good afternoon, everybody, and thanks to Carl Beckham team for giving this presentation for the good of the pulp and paper industry. Having worked in the pulp and industry for 40 years now, the number of moving parts which are there in pulp and paper industry is enormous. Not many industries in this world will have so many moving parts, starting from chipper house to the end of the finishing. So the importance of lubrication is very, very important. And in the paper industry, which is very, very capital intensive industry, downtime plays a very, very important role, and efficiencies. Now, so lubricant can play a very important role in reducing downtime. That's for sure. There is no doubt about it. But it can also help to improve the efficiencies. Reduce the power consumption, provided we choose the right thing. So I'm sure the team will focus and tell us all about the role of lubricant. We all understand it, but re-emphasizing, refocusing on criticality and the role of lubricant, there is no end to it. So look forward to some interesting talks by the team, and hope the participant will benefit out of it and move towards, one of the goals of IPTA is to make pulp and paper industry world class in the years to come. Slowly, gradually, it will not happen overnight. So this is a small step in that direction. And let's hope all of us learn small things and improve our efficiency. Over to the team now. Thank you.
Okay, so I'll begin with basically uh, introducing the speakers for the day. The speaker today is Mr. Harihara Subramaniam. He is a business head, a specialist lubricant. Then Mr. Subramaniam have been in the field for last 25 years. He is a man on a mission to spread knowledge and experience in the field of lubrication and tribology. And he is one of the pioneers in the field of special lubricants. So, welcome, Mr. Subramaniam.
Thank you, sir.
And Mr. Subramaniam, this is one of many presentations that he has done on the subject. We have another team member, Mr. Devinderjeet Singh. He's a regional manager, a specialist lubricant North and West. So, welcome, Mr. Devinderjeet Singh. Mr.
Thank you, sir.
Devinderji has 15 years of experience in the field of lubrication, wide exposure to various challenges in the segment of lubrication, and one of the key strategy maker for Paul Beckham. The third supporting speaker is Kaushik. He's the manager business development, and Kaushik by profession is mechanical engineers and have been for 15 years in the sales and marketing of industrial products, and he is in the field of special lubricant for more than a decade with exposure to key industrial segments like paper, food, processing, bearing, tire, automotive, textile, etc. So with these words, I welcome the team of uh, team of Carl Beckham and over to Mr. Hari for his presentation.
Ravinder, please. I hope the slides are visible.
Yeah.
Probably you can put it on the slideshow, sir.
Okay.
Shall I?
Yeah.
Yeah. So thank you, a very big thank you, I would say, to Team IPTA, especially to Mr. Goel, who's been, with whom we've been interacting for this program, beforehand itself. The whole idea of having this program, as Sanjay sir told, to learn about the various upcoming trends of lubrication, or the experience we as lubrication specialists have in paper industry, that will try to brief it to you, sir. And before the technical session begins, we just wanted to brief you about Bechem, so that you also have a feel of what all team you are talking to. You have already briefed the people about the speakers. I just wanted to take probably 4 to 5 minutes to brief about the organization. Hari sir, can we? Sir, Bechem started in 1834. I mean, we have a history of lubricant history of more than 180 years. It was started by a gentleman called Mr. Carl Bechem, hence the name. He was a visionary, and he believed that there has to be a tailor-made solution for every problem. You will see in the next slide, sir. We have representation in 70 countries, and our product reach is actually into 100 countries. And we have three types of businesses. One is the parent company, which is primarily in Germany. Then we have 100% subsidiaries like in India. And then we have sales partners in various countries. It's a state-of-art plant in Bangalore, sir, and we have certifications like IATF and ISO 9001. Around 600 employees worldwide. Bechem India, if you see, sir, this thing we have already discussed, the global presence. We cater to various industries like paper, steel, cement, sugar, automotive. Any vehicle you drive, you're already using a Bechem, sir, in your life. Railways, pharma, food, textile, many more actually. And the product range we have is greases, various types, like synthetic and mineral is the major classification in that. Then we have gear oils, synthetic, again mineral gear oils, anti-friction coatings, which is the future of lubrication. And then we have industrial cleaners, sir. The advantage of having Bechem in the plant is that it's a German technology made with special German formulations. The additives are all imported. Made in Bangalore, sir. It's ISO IATF plant. We have pan-India sales network, as you just spoke to one of our distributors. So we have these distributors located all across India in strategic locations. Trained application engineers. I mean, it's not that someone has to come to your plant from a very far away location. Generally, we have people locally available on who can cover the entire movement in pan-India. And we have already, we strongly believe that there is a tailor-made solution to every industrial problem in the plant. Yeah. Sorry, sir. Our approach, we strongly believe in application engineering, sir. And the application engineers, they conduct lube audits at your plant, which leads to meticulous selection of lubricant, optimizing consumption, right lubricant, right quantity, and at right interval. That is the key to any solution in the industry, and it surely helps you minimize the downtime and optimize the production. We have a very wide range of greases, around 600 types. So generally, we don't have to customize any grease. We'll have a solution for whatever problem you have. And local inventory and timely delivery. Just to give you a brief, sir was mentioning about the moving components in the paper and pulp industry. So if you see, we have products already selected for most of the applications. We have water resistance greases, high temperature, heavy load, high speed greases. Anything you need, you will find in Bechem portfolio. Just few glimpses of our plant, sir, Bangalore. Yeah. We have various lines in Bangalore, sir. Lithium, aluminium, urea greases, water miscible. We also have cutting oils, and gear oils. If you see the plant, how the barrels are stacked. What is that? That's a wonderful lab we have in the plant, sir. Yeah. That's our manufacturing facility. And that's the stock area, sir. The warehouse.
Mr. Devinder, nothing is visible to us.
Nothing is visible, sir.
Because
Hari, sir.
you are not sharing the screen or something. You are
No, Hari.
We are on the screen of Mr. Harihara and you are speaking.
Sir, the same screen, are you not able to see?
I'm
Sir,
not able.
It's very much
I
visible,
can see, sir.
Okay, fair enough. Please go ahead then.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah. Sorry, it is
Yeah.
there. I'm sorry.
Okay. Okay. Yeah, sir. So this is the lab we have, Hari, sir. That's our manufacturing. Many a times we've been asked that, is it that some plant where Beckham barrels are being used everywhere? So that's our dispatch, sir. So finally, we come to the real technical session, and I would take you to the content. That's the yellow gold, as we say. We'll be talking about fundamentals of lubrication, key test methods for greases, the lubrication practices, whatever we have understood, sir. Synthetic versus mineral, it's a big debate and probably too small a time today, but we'll give you certain advantages and limitations of both. We have certain case studies, sir. We'll share our experience and probably learn from your comments and views. The application, other important application areas in the processing plant. Now I would request, sir, Mr. Hari to come in with the technical session. We'll begin with fundamentals of lubrication. You have seen, he has a very vast experience and he'll probably take us through the fundamental of lubrication. Hari, sir, please.
Thank you, Devinder. Am I audible?
Yeah.
Thank you, Devinder. Thank you, Goel sir, for this wonderful opportunity, and all the office bearers of IPTA for being making Carl Beckham being associated with you. Let me begin our presentation on the important fundamental aspects. All of us should know that at any point in time, there are about 50 billion bearings running around the world. In fact, they are the most widespread machine elements in the industry after nuts and bolts. No wonder so many of you experts have joined this technical session on important aspects of lubrication. Any discussion on lubrication engineering starts with a focused discussion on friction, more specifically about coefficient of friction. Since we are in the maintenance industry, of course, friction is beneficial in many occasions, like brakes, for example. Since we are in the maintenance industry where we have to take the maximum life of machine parts like bearings, chains, gears, etc., our job is to keep the friction as low as possible. Why? The obvious reason is material loss, wear. For example, I am holding a ball bearing in my hand. If I don't lubricate it properly, we all know that it will fail in a very short while. But perhaps the most neglected reason for keeping friction low as low as possible is the energy losses. If the COF, I'll call coefficient of friction as and COF interminglingly, and if the COS is quite high, you will need a higher force, a larger force to drive this bearing to make it rotate. And that means I am going to lose a lot on energy. So the main reason for reducing friction is to control the material loss and the energy loss. We will talk about three main types of friction. But before we go into that, I would like to refresh our memories on some very important fundamentals. I am actually holding a deep groove ball bearing in my hand. The friction partners in this deep groove ball bearing are the ball and the inner raceway, the ball and the outer raceway, and the ball and the cage element. These three are the friction partners. Even though the bearing is looking quite shiny in my hand, When I go in a microscopic level, there are going to be plenty of asperities. We call them peaks and valleys or surface asperities which are present in the bearing. It is these asperities which will get in contact and rub or plow against each other, which will result in friction. This is number one fundamental we should remember. The number two is, let us assume that I am actually loading this bearing radially in this direction. If there is a pure radial load here, the actual load distribution in a bearing will actually happen in an arc of about 150 degrees, which means the rolling elements will actually enter the load zone, participate in the load zone, and then leave the load zone as the bearing is rotating. So, which kindly remember the second point. So, whenever I mention contact zone, it actually means the load zone in the bearing. Now we will discuss about the three main aspects of friction. Please remember, the coefficient of friction in a bearing actually depends on the bearing type and also the size, as well as the speed, load, the quality of lubricant used inside, the quantity of lubricant used inside. All this will influence the coefficient of friction. If you take the machinery designer's perspective, in fact, as a general rule, they will consider a constant coefficient of friction of 0.015 for a ball bearing, for example, and in a cylindrical, 0.0015, I'm sorry, and for a cylindrical roller bearing, a COF of 0.0011. Even though a cylindrical roller bearing has a line contact, it has a lesser coefficient of friction because of its construction. Similarly, for example, a spherical roller bearing will have a constant coefficient of friction of 0.0018. This is what the machine designer will consider. Let us also remember, before we get into the type of friction, let us also remember that the total contribution of friction, which we call frictional moment in a bearing, is a sum total of all the contributing factors. For example, the friction generated by the friction partners, number one. Number two, the guiding surfaces of the bearing, they also contribute to friction. The lubricant itself will offer certain resistance to rotation, that we call it as the lubricant friction. And if this bearing has a metal shield or a rubber shield, that shield will also rub against these friction partners when rotation takes place. So the frictional moment in a bearing is actually a sum total of all these contributing factors. Now we will move to the different types of friction which are important for us. I'll just take a pointer, please. Yeah. There are three different types of friction which I would like to showcase to the audience here with the help of what is called as a Strybeck curve. Strybeck, what he did is he took a journal bearing and he flooded the bearing with lubricant, and he saw what are the changes of coefficient of friction when the speed of rotation changes. He maintained the load, temperature, and the lubricant viscosity constant throughout the test. Now, as you can see here, when the speed is 0, the coefficient of friction is maximum. Please remember, I mentioned to you that they completely flooded the bearing with the lubricant. But in spite of that, when there is no speed of rotation, the lubricant will not be able to separate these surface asperities in the bearing. So maximum metal to metal contact will occur. So that is how the coefficient of friction is high. As the speed picks up from ground zero, the coefficient of friction marginally reduces because the lubricant actually is trying to form a film. So this is kind of a boundary layer that is formed in the bearing, and that kind of friction is called boundary friction. Now, as the speed increases, we will reach a stage where the lubricant will be capable of separating the friction partners to a great extent. That is how the coefficient of friction drastically falls. In this zone, in spite of the lubricant film getting formed, still there are some areas where there are metal to metal contact. So this zone is a kind of mixed zone with the lubricant and metal to metal contact. So we call this as mixed friction zone. And beyond a point called cutoff point, the friction coefficient of friction again increases because of the resistance offered by the lubricant. Now, what is the relevance of these three types of friction to a maintenance engineer in paper plan? Please remember, whenever there is a part which is actually 100% sliding like this, or a very, very slow rotation bearing, less than 5 RPM, for example, they will all operate in boundary friction zone, which means no matter what quality of lubricant or what quantity of lubricant I apply, still the coefficient of friction will be higher. Now, why should I know about the mixed friction zone? Any bearing or gears that you see in your system, in your industry, where the bearing or the gear has an oscillating motion, which means the speed starts, it begins to pick up speed, the bearing again stops, reverses direction, again starts the rotation, again stops. So this kind of oscillating motion will typically work in the zone of mixed friction. Here again, the lubricant would have successfully formed a lubrication film, but still not sufficient enough to completely separate the friction partners. No, as we saw in the Stryber curve, the primary lubricant role is to separate the friction partners by forming a lubrication film. In the previous slide, we saw the types of friction. Here, we will see the types of lubrication. Please note that the separation of friction partners and load transmission through this lubricating film, for example, in this bearing, happens through a film thickness of about 1.3 microns. Can you believe it? This is almost 23 times lesser than a single human hair. So actually, you cannot visibly see this through your naked eye. And this bearing actually is a 6208 bearing. And this bearing has a dynamic load carrying capacity of almost 3,300 kilograms. So can you imagine the load transmission is actually taking through just a 1.3 micron thick film and as large load as around 3,300 kgs. This is happening through what is called as a hydrodynamic film. By hydro, it means oil or fluid, and dynamic because the friction partners are in motion. We should also understand what is an elasto-hydrodynamic lubrication film. The word elasto only is added here. Due to the tremendous pressure on this 1.5 micron or 1.3 micron thick film, what happens is the balls, when they enter the load zone, they actually elastically deform. Not only the balls, the lubrication film itself, the outer raceway contact zone, inner raceway contact zone, all of them elastically deform until such time they stay in the load zone or contact zone, and then they come back to their normal shape. In fact, you can assume that the balls will take the shape of an ellipsoid, for example, the shape of an egg in the load zone before it comes out of it. That elastic deformation and the lubrication under that condition is called as elasto hydrodynamic lubrication. All bearings, all gear tooth flanks, cams, all of them are subjected to this phenomena called elasto-hydrodynamic lubrication film. In the Stryber curve, we saw in the boundary friction zone and the mixed friction zone, the lubricant would not have completely separated the friction partners. In that case, additives added to the lubricant has to form a chemically reactive layer on the asperities, which will control friction and wear. So those three are the types of lubrication film that we encounter. So that was the primary task of a lubricant. What are the secondary tasks? In a paper plant, paper pulp, water, chemicals are very common contaminants. No matter how effective the sealing of the bearing is, these contaminants will somehow find their way through the narrow holes in the sealing system. This contamination is one of the strongest reasons for bearing failure. So not only the lubricant has to provide a lubricating film, it also has to seal the lubricated part from the harmful influence of these contaminants. High temperatures, typically in excess of 100 degrees centigrade, will be found in paper plants. Of course, the process-related temperature, like for example, steam used for curing or hot air used for blowing on top of the coating on the paper, these cannot be controlled. Those are proper process parameters. But what can be controlled is the friction-related heat generation inside the bearing. So how efficiently the lubricant can dissipate this friction-generated heat, that means to cool the lubricated area, is a very critical secondary role of a lubricant. Highly acidic and alkaline chemicals, water, solvents are all commonly used in paper plants. And these kind of contaminants or ingredients have a very addictive relationship to bearings, in the sense they corrode the bearing and reduce their lifetime. The lubricant actually should act as a shield and protect this lubricated part from corrosion. So those are the secondary tasks of lubrication. Now, what are the options available for me to lubricate a component? The first obvious option is a grease. As Davinder was mentioning, 600 different grease formulations only in Beckham. In fact, I find it funny when some of my customers ask me, I have used a very dark purple color grease in my experience, and that grease gave me phenomenal result, probably that customer was not aware. Color to the grease is actually given for maybe identification purpose, and it is basically a dye, and maybe for cosmetic reasons. And the second popular reason usage is oils. For example, gearboxes, hydraulic systems, compressors, engines, transmission gears, all of them are very comfortably and successfully lubricated with oils. There is a Marvel technology available, especially for sliding surfaces, not for rotating elements like bearings, called anti-friction coatings. We all know that grease and oil will remain wet throughout its lifetime. But these coatings are liquid while applying, but once they cure, they form a dry film, and this dry film gives lifetime lubrication over a very wide temperature range. And the fourth and final option available for lubrication is a lubricating paste, especially for fasteners which are exposed to high temperature. For example, the flanges of boiler, for example. And the second is fasteners which are exposed to highly corrosive atmosphere. Now let us discuss about what are the constituents of grease. Even though the grease looks like a semi-solid substance, 85% of the constituent of a grease is an oil. This oil is actually what gives the lubricating film or forms the lubricating film in the bearing. Now, this large quantity of oil is thickened by means of a thickener, which is up to about 10%. The role of a thickener can be assumed like a sponge. When you take a piece of sponge and dip it in oil, it will absorb the oil in its structure, and when it is squeezed under load, it will release the oil for lubrication. So absorption and releasing is the role of the thickener. Not only that, it will also helps to retain the oil and the additive package in the applied area. Now, the thickener actually determines many performance parameters of the grease. For example, its consistency, its operating temperature range, oil bleeding properties, water resistance properties, and several other parameters are directly influenced by the thickener. Additives are certain chemicals which are added to boost the performance of a grease. Now, coming to paste, the only difference between paste and a grease is the quantity of oil in the paste is drastically reduced up to 50%, and about 40% of solid lubricating additives are used. For example, graphite or MOS2 or copper for high temperature applications. So we should understand in a paste, actually the base oil is used as a carrier to deliver the solid lubricants in the required area, like threads of the fasteners, for example. Now, in the case of an oil, it is simply the base oil and a host of additives added to it. Now, coming to this base oil types, the first popular one is mineral base oil. Especially in India, when we say 20W40 or SAE 90 oil, we mean mineral oil with specific performance properties. They are actually manufactured by refining and hydro-treating crude oils, which is taken from the earth. Please remember, when I do refine the crude oil, a mix of mineral oil comes out. It never a single quality. For example, naphthenic, paraffinic, olefinic, aromatics, several mix of mineral oils come out from crude oil. And these raffinates are removed by refining process and made more and more pure. For example, by removing waxes, by removing aromatics, by removing sulfur, etc. So that they become a candidate for using in lubricant formulation. Now, the second variety of oils is synthetic oil. In that, a very popular one is called as synthetic polyalpha olefin, which is also called PAO, also referred in the industry as synthetic hydrocarbon because of this hydrocarbon structure in its backbone. And this oil is very popular, in fact, in paper industry. For example, the modern paper machines where dryer sections are lubricated with recirculating oil for bearing, the recommendation comes from OEM for polyalpha olefin oil because of their exceptional oxidation stability. You need not change this oil sum for 5 years of running. They also have a very low traction coefficient, which means the lubricant's internal friction is so low that if they are used in, for example, the gearbox of the paper machine drive rollers, they can result in reduced heat generation of the gearboxes as well as save energy. There are many other synthetic oil types. For example, do you know that all high temperature chain oils are actually formulated with synthetic esters? Polyglycols are another very special type of synthetic oils which has inherent extreme pressure properties. This property is extremely useful, for example, in worm reduction gearboxes, where the sliding percentage is as high as 90%. And the costliest synthetic oil in the industry is PFPE. And this oil is completely inert. No chemical can affect this oil. Not only that, it has got some super advantages like super high temperature resistance, radiation resistance, etc. In fact, one of the times when we have celebration among our team is when my team makes our customers realize the property of the PFPE oil and prove the cost-benefit performance of such expensive synthetic oils. Now coming to the second constituent in a grease, which is the thickener. The most popular is the lithium thickener, which was developed somewhere in the 1930s. And the thickener microstructure, it looks like fibers like this. It is also called as lithium soap because the thickener is prepared by saponification reaction. Now, the thickener we saw will keep the base oil in its structure. This typically happens with the help of van der Waals forces and capillary forces. There are many other type of metal soap thickeners like aluminum, barium, for example. And if you complex the simple soap thickener with a salt, we call them as a complex soap thickener, which is good for structural and temperature resistance. Please remember the fiber length of these thickeners, for example, will be between 1 micron to about 100 micron with the length to diameter ratio between 10 to 100. In about 1930s, another family of 1980s, sorry, another family of thickeners were developed called as non-soap thickener. Popular among them is polyurea. Apart from its several advantages like very good water resistance and high temperature resistance, one unique advantage of polyurea that I would like to highlight here is they leave the least amount of residues after its useful lifetime, which means when I apply fresh grease for relubrication in this bearing, almost all the quantity of relubrication grease will reach the load zone because the bearing carries least amounts of residues. That this grease is where this thickener technology is becoming very, very popular, especially in the paper industry. Now, as I was mentioning, there is a host of additives that are added to lubricants, be it oils, grease, or paste. Primary purpose of adding additives is to eliminate certain undesired properties of base oil. For example, very low pour point, very poor oxidation stability, or it will add additional properties to the base oil. For example, increase its load absorbing capacities, or it can boost its existing properties like corrosion protection properties, adhesion properties, and so on. Many types of additives are there, oxidation inhibitors, pour point depressants, and so on. I will focus here on solid lubricants, which are very popular for bearing greases, especially for very moderate or low loads. microfine plastic powders called PTFE powders are added as additives to grease, and for medium to very heavy loads, solid lubricating additives like graphite and MOS2 are used in grease formulations. Please remember, the additive content is as low as, let us say, 5% or 3% in many cases. Now, moving on to my next section, there are several test parameters that are used to evaluate the quality of greases. In fact, if some of you are fortunate enough to visit the advanced laboratory that we have in Bangalore, you will see hundreds of equipments that are used in testing various type of lubricant formulations. But here I would like to touch upon two very important tests which are relevant to the paper industry. The first test is the static water resistance test, which is used for determining the emulsification resistance property of a grease. In this test, actually, a thin glass plate is taken and a thin film of grease is spread on the glass by means of a metal template. This is then put into a test tube and exposed to the test water and also to a heating atmosphere. Typically, here again, water is used. Now, the thickness of the grease film, the cleanliness of the glass surface, the dimensions of the test tube are all specified as per this DIN 51807 standards. After exposing this to the water for about 3 hours at 90 degrees centigrade, the diffusion or absorption of water in the grease layer and the degree of emulsification of the grease layer is visually evaluated, and then a rating of 0 or a rating of 3 is given. Rating of 0, for example, it means there is absolutely no change to the grease film, and a rating of 3 means there is a very large change. So the grease that you use in paper plant application, especially in the pulp area or in the paper machine itself, should have a static water resistance of either 0 or 1. The second test that I would like to highlight here is the MCOR corrosion test, which is devised by the SKF Bearing Company actually, where 5 swivel bearings, which means self-aligning ball bearings, where you can easily separate the rolling element and inner race from the outer raceway, are used. 10 grams of test grease is applied in each of these bearings, and for a single grease, typically 2 bearings are used. They are assembled in the shaft on this plumber block, and water is added to this plumber block. For example, distilled water or synthetic seawater. This test involves both dynamic and static testing, which means the shaft will rotate at 80 RPM for, let us say, 8 hours, and then it will stand still for 16 hours, so that we give maximum opportunity for the water which is mixed with the grease to corrode the bearings. So after 1 week, the bearings are taken out and the outer raceways are inspected for corrosion presence. For example, you see this outer raceway, there is absolutely no corrosion mark in this bearing, which means there is no corrosion, and a rating of 0 will be given. Since we use 2 bearings, typically you will see in the data as 0/0. Now you see this outer raceway, there is a huge patch of corrosion that is visible in the raceway. So here, this test grease will get a rating of 5. In fact, this is the rating chart. You will be surprised to see, even if the grease gets a rating of 1 in MCOR test, the allowed criteria is just 3 spots of corrosion, where the diameter of the rust spots is maximum of 1 mm. Such is the severe stringent conditions for this test. So ideally, the grease that you choose for bearing applications in paper plant should have a MCOR corrosion resistance of 0 and 0. Now, Davinder was mentioning about lubrication audits. I call it as lubrication excellence. If you do 5 things right in the lubrication practice, we say that we are in the path, or we have already achieved lubrication excellence. What are they? The first one is the quality of the lubricant, which is very, very important. The second is time, the frequency of lubrication, the duration after which you apply a lubricant on the part. The place is equally important. For example, in certain designs of spherical roller bearings, there are 3 lubrication holes in the outer ring diameter. In fact, these 3 lubrication holes are given so that when you relubricate, exactly the relubricated quantity of grease will go into the loaded zone. So the maintenance engineer should actually align this lubrication holes to the lubrication port so that the lubricant directly flows into the lubricated zone. That is what is an example for place, for example. Quantity. In my 25 plus years of experience, I have seen maintenance engineers follow the principle of more the merrier. Larger quantity you apply, better it is. It is like going to a buffet dinner and eating to your stomach full and expecting you to perform with the same level of agility and fluency. Not possible for a bearing, isn't it? So the right quantity of lubricant is extremely important. And what about right procedure? All the above four can be correct, but if the procedure of application is not proper, for example, if I use a hand lever grease gun, the timing between of this each stroke of the lever should be actually 3 to 5 seconds. But if the maintenance technician has an argument with his boss and then he picks up his grease gun and goes to the machine, he will start applying like this, Such high speed action of the hand grease gun lever will put tremendous pressure on the seals of the bearings or on the seals of the housing, causing it to rupture. So procedure of application is also equally important. So those are the 5 rights of lubrication to achieve lubrication excellence. Now, what we do is when we do our lubrication usage study, we actually spend about a couple of days in each of these paper plants. And in cooperation with the maintenance team, we collect certain important parameters. For example, we classify these equipments based on criticality and collect details such as bearing RPM, bearing running temperature, whether there is a chance of a chemical coming in touch with the bearing, what is the current lubrication frequency, what is the top up, what is the current procedure of application, time taken for changing the bearing. We collate all this data and analyze in our technical team and highlight to the customer, to the maintenance team of the customer, what are the things that are already happening wonderfully well in terms of lubrication excellence in your plant, and what are the areas probably where there is a scope for improvement in terms of our journey in achieving lubrication excellence. So if any of you are interested, please let us know. For example, I will project one of the lubricant charts after our lubrication audit. These are the type of bearings that it is used in the paper plant, the paper machine basically. And based on the free volume space available for each of these bearings, we calculate by using the free volume space formula and arrive at the exact quantity needed for complete lubrication fill. And based on the RPM, we either increase or reduce the quantity of lubricant to be used. Similarly, we use the popular formula of 0.005 into outer diameter into width to arrive at relubrication quantity. Whenever we submit such a chart to our customer, many of our customers have realized currently they are actually applying very large quantity of lubricants for such bearings. Now, we saw several parameters that they will record, that we will record, but I would like to highlight the importance of only one of those parameters, which is probably the most critical parameter compared to so many of others. That is bearings running temperature. Why is it so important? Several factors. Number one, the lifetime of the lubricant, which we call as oxidation stability, is directly influenced by temperature. And this typically tends to follow the Arrhenius behavior, which means there is an exponential reduction of the lifetime of the grease when the temperature increases. Second reason, there can be a loss in consistency and the lubricant can bleed oil excessively when exposed to high temperature. Every lubricant manufacturer will declare a temperature window within which a grease can perform most effectively. So if I don't control or select the lubricant based on this operating temperature window, I will not get the optimum performance from the lubricant. That is the third reason. The fourth reason is we all know that the lubricating grease will build up a thicker lubricating film, but over a period of time when the bearing rotates, starvation is bound to occur, which means the thickener system has to continuously feed base oil for lubrication. But if I don't control the friction related temperature of a bearing, and if it shoots up to a higher temperature, there will be excessive base oil evaporation from the thickener system. So the thickener does not have adequate base oil to feed the starving bearing. that can result in bearing failure. So like this, many other causes can happen just with this parameter, So please ensure that the running temperature of bearings in your plant are very regularly monitored. Please ensure the same person can monitor it, preferably, but sometimes it's not possible. So please mark a red dot paint in the component, and whoever goes and measures temperature should exactly measure it at that spot. Along with the running temperature, ambient temperature also should be recorded, because ambient temperature will have a direct influence on the running temperature of the part. And whenever you apply fresh grease to a bearing, obviously it will take a little time to redistribute itself into the bearing by getting churned and kneaded together. So initial period after relubrication, there will be a spike in temperature, but it will reduce and optimize to a equilibrium bearing temperature. So every time when I have a bearing running less than 70 degrees or 82 degrees, it is in good condition. But if the same bearing moves to 93 or to 121, then there is a cause of concern for us. Typically, when the temperature crosses about 120 degrees, it's preferable to use a C4 clearance bearing so that we accommodate for the thermal expansion. And if the temperature crosses 150 degrees centigrade, we can be sure that the bearing is traveling towards failure. How do we control the friction-related heat generation? You have to limit the number of startups and shutdowns if possible, or you have to control the variations of load and speed as much as possible. Now, this is my last slide for my portion with the very famous 15-degree rule. This rule says that for every 15 degrees centigrade raise in the bearing's running temperature, the lubricating grease's life, not the bearing's life, the lubricating grease's life reduces by 50%. For example, if a bearing runs at 70 degrees and the OEM has recommended to relubricate at 1000 hours, if the same bearing runs at 85 degrees because of any reasons of those 5 that I have mentioned, the lubricating grease's life will reduce to 500 hours. So that is the importance of running temperature of the bearing. Thank you very much, gentlemen, for your kind attention and listening. And over to you, Kaushik, for the rest of the presentation. Kaushik, you can continue.
Yes, sir. Yeah, thank you very much, everyone. Hope I am audible. Yeah. First of all, I'd like to welcome all the participants. Thank you very much for sparing your valuable time. Thanks a lot to Goel sir and Team IPTA, Sanjay sir for the kind words and encouragement, and Hari sir for the detailed overview about the fundamentals of lubricants. We'll start with the long pending argument of synthetic versus mineral. So Hari sir, next please. Yeah, yes sir, yeah. Right sir. Actually, we should look at the synthetics lubricant or maybe synthetic lubricants as in problem solvers. And to be used where their unique properties are cost justified. Okay, this is one of the most closest definition of what is the application of synthetic lubricants we can come across. So it is more of a question of why and when to use the synthetic lubricants. We are here to share some of the advantages and limitations very briefly. First advantages is the cost efficiency. At the same time, it is a disadvantage in terms of higher cost as well. But if you look at the longer interval or say longer duration of time for the synthetic lubricants, probably we'll see in the case studies as well that it offers a excellent cost efficiency. Also, synthetic offers a reduced maintenance and downtime. Also, overall lubricant consumptions can go down with the use of synthetic lubricants, limited emissions and disposables, and also in terms of cost and energy savings. As rightly mentioned by Hari sir in the fundamentals, one of the synthetic oils like PAO offers a very low traction of coefficient, which can be one of the key points for the energy savings for the paper industry as such. So these are the few advantages. And if we look at the limitations with respect to synthetic lubricants, they are surely in general 3 to 5 times more costlier compared to standard mineral oils and conventional lubricants. Also, synthetics do have a very limited compatibility when it comes with the sealing material. We have seen couple of variety of synthetic lubricants wherein a few of them has a limitations in terms of mineral oil compatibility as well, like polyglycols. Solubility with respect to PAOs are basically additive solubility, and also sometimes limited limitations in terms of thickness solubility as well. And also synthetics do have a higher disposable cost when we compare with the standard mineral oils. Next, sir. We will typically look at the one of the case use case, or say just to share the overview of with the comparison with the mineral oils. Generally, this is a air compressor lubricants study where the OEMs recommended standard mineral oils operational life close to 2000 hours. And if you look at the semi-synthetic or partial synthetic, it goes up to 4000 hours. And the PO and polyglycols go up to the 8000 hours of overall life, which means that when we compare it with the standard mineral oils and standard product conventional mineral oils, synthetics do offer minimum 3 to 4 times of lifetime. And it is not a question of like say which is better, or say synthetic versus mineral, but this is overall an practical application, and having a holistic outlook of lubrication processes actually, which allows us, our equipments and oil or grease to perform well. Okay, so it's more of an where synthetic suitables and where are the mineral oils application area. And now we will look at the couple of applications and opportunities which is most suitable with the synthetic lubricants. Okay, so first and foremost is the OEM recommended products. Like there are gearboxes, there are bearings where OEM themselves study the application requirements and they recommend a synthetic product range. The second would be the extreme temperature conditions. As Hari sir mentioned in his last couple of slides, probably that when the temperature shoots up more than 100 degrees Celsius or so, that sort of applications calls for a definitely use of a synthetic lubricants. Very high load and very high and very low speed, sir. As we have seen in the basics also, even in the very low speed conditions, boundary frictions happen. So in that sort of applications demands for a synthetic lubricants. Very short oil drain intervals, like we have a very frequency of changing our mineral oils very frequently, and it's overall not a very advised application area. Here we can use the synthetic oils and extend the lubrication intervals or oil drain intervals by minimum 4 times. So that can be one more applications where synthetics can be used. And for the bearing lubrication, shorter regreasing intervals. We have seen in our work with the paper industry as such, there are a couple of areas where very frequent regreasing is being done. So in those areas, probably a right sort of lubricants probably can extend the lubrication intervals, and we can use synthetic lubricants in those applications. Those are the 5 main application or say opportunities to use synthetic lubricants. There are couple of more, sir. Like your energy consumption is very high, we can go for synthetic lubricants. Our breakdown significant component failures and frequent breakdowns of equipment, probably we can go for a synthetic lubricants. Then it comes with the spare part cost, very high bearing failures, number of parts, then probably it calls for a usage of synthetic lubricants. Then environmental issues. Very frequent oil change will also be a problem area for all of us. So probably that calls for a use of synthetic lubricants. And also one more industry which is surely can benefited with the use of synthetic lubricants is the food processing industry, because we always have a risk of food contaminants of end product could get contaminated with mineral oil based products. So food processing industry 100% is more or less using synthetic based NSF-H1 certified lubricants. So those are the major overview about the opportunities and the application areas where synthetic can be useful. And also there are applications where mineral oils can also do justice to the applications. So very briefly we have covered the synthetic versus mineral. Now we will move on to the case studies part. We are majorly covering 3 case studies here, sir. One is the wet end area in the paper machines. Second is the dryer gearboxes. in the paper machines. And third is the hot air fan bearings with high temperature and high speed applications. So why case studies? Actually, based on our experience in working with variety of industry, variety of applications and customers, we found out that the case studies are the most effective way to share our work, our knowledge, and it's very easy to understand, very relevant to understand to the audience as well. So that is why we are we are sharing the case studies here, sir. So first is for the wet end area in the paper machines. Yeah, next, sir. But right, sir. Thank you. Yeah. So actually, it's Sanjay sir also started with that. There are so many number of parts in the paper industry, pulp and paper industry. So just to give you an idea, it's very interesting. Actually, it's very interesting to note that in the various sections of a paper machine itself, actually, that exposed to close to 1,500 number of bearings. Okay, different bearings, and to the very harsh conditions, which includes water, steam, heat, and paper dust as well. Okay, and each section of this paper machine has their own special lubrication requirements to take care of. So we'll first and foremost we'll start with the heart of paper processing, which is the paper machine and paper machine wet end area bearing lubrication, the most common and most affected area. We have clearly see the water coming in on the lubrication part, or probably bearing part. It's one of the most challenging applications. This is a very familiar picture of press felt assembly. You can clearly see it's day in, day out. We have seen that. The major challenges for any lubricant or any grease to work in this particular application, we could find that three major areas actually, or three major challenges. First is this is a water resistance grease requirement. That means not only a normal water, but it's a very high pH chemically treated water. So bearing or maybe any lubricant needs to be very much strong and very much effective against water resistance. Also that needs to be provide you a excellent corrosion protection against the moisture and water. And third and the most important challenge is the load carrying capacity of any lubricant. Okay, once you have all the three key inputs, probably we have a wonderful product to take care of these applications. Now we'll go to the case study, sir. We have collected the basic application details, as we have seen in the earlier slides of Hari sir as well. We used to collect all the data whenever it's possible. This is a Serval-make machine. The application area is for the press felt roll bearings. It's a Timken-make double row taper roller bearings with 600 RPM, sir. Vibrations were normal. Load is generally in the this section of the paper machine is very high. Temperature of the bearing, running temperature was 79 degrees Celsius, and there are two bearings, each one in drive and non-drive end. The concern was the life of the bearing. Approximate 45 to 60 days of life the customer was able to get out of this application. The lubricant used was a conventional competition grease. The greasing practice was every 15 days. We have seen that also, that very frequently it's very normal practice. So people used to grease very frequently and more actually. So, and machine is subjected to chemically treated water ingression consistently. And also based on the bearing number, we could able to collect all the relevant information on the bearing parameters like ODID, everything, width and weight and also. So based on all these parameters, next sir. Based on all these parameters and the interaction with the customer, we could point out few couple of areas of improvement. First and foremost was the prematured bearing failures. Second is the, because of the bearing failures, the unplanned maintenance and shutdowns and downtimes, production losses, frequent greasing with excessive consumption. This is a typical case of excess lubrication. And because the grease, whatever was in use was not designed for such water resistance and corrosion protection, it was a very poor water repellent properties and corrosion prevention properties. So this was the key areas where we can work with the customer. Next, sir. Our choice of product was Hilube 67400. This is one of the grease from our range. It is having one of the best water resistance. What one of the tests we have seen in Hari sir's slides are static water resistance, and this particular product is 1 rated, and this has one of the best thickener chemistry, which is a lithium calcium inherently having a property of water resistance. This particular product is excellent in corrosion protections, and it prevents actually bearing from any sort of a rust formation when it exposed to water and moisture. This has a wonderful corrosion test results of 0 and 0. So it is a one of the product to go for this such water resistance applications. Apart from all this, this particular product is a very high base oil viscosity of 400 CST, ideal candidate for the slow speed applications where a boundary friction can happen, which ensures actually better lubricating film formations in a friction zones while operations as well. And this particular product is having 2 different sort of additive package. One is anti-wear additives, which ensures no wear and tear during any sort of sudden or impact loads, and also it has a extreme pressure additives. Next, sir. Extreme pressure additives which present there to take care of heavy loads in case of any. And this is particularly an ultra purified mineral oil based product, which ensures longer durations of services and also able to help us in terms of extending the lubrication interval in the bearings. Okay, so this was the selection process, and we could finalize on this particular product. We have gone to the trial now. We identified a separate felt roller, and based on the data on the bearings and the working parameters, operational parameters of the applications, we have calculated the 370 grams based on the free volumes available. 370 grams of grease is the required grease for the first fill applications. And because it's a water resistance applications with high load and running in a critical conditions, so 370 grams was identified. We have identified that we also make sure that there should not be any sort of a grease dumping, because generally we have seen that in the housing area also our team is usually dump a lot of grease. So that is we just to avoid that we have make sure that. Yes, sir. Vibration and temperature readings were monitored on a daily basis to ensure that there should not be any sort of a bearing failure or maybe any catastrophic failures. Grease consumption was not quantified earlier. There is a practice of putting zyada acha hai, okay, as Hari sir says probably. So there have been a practice to putting more, and excess lubrication was followed. So that we have tried to cut it down, and which was ultimately a result in generally temperature rise and failures. Okay, so we have fixed the grease quantity, regreasing quantity, 100 grams. Suggested also, and we also make sure that there should be 2 separate grease guns. Okay, it is also not ideal to use or mix 2 greases together. So we have make sure that there are 2 different separate grease guns are allocated, and with our product we avoid to mixing with any other greases. Okay, so this is overall methodology we follow. Yes, sir. This is a typical assembly line where we generally usually wanted to always be with the customer on the shop floor, and we can clearly see here also the grease was quantified and then put in the bearings. Yes, sir. The test results were quite encouraging for us and customer both of. We arrested the premature bearing failures very well. There was no bearing failures reported during the entire period of time. Temperature reduction was also noted and observed throughout the trial, and we also able to extend the lubrication frequency from 15 days to 30 days. Okay, so it's almost doubling the life cycle. Vibration patterns also showed that absolutely no issues with the extension of lubrication and grease changeover. Cost saving was achieved with respect to increased spare parts and reduced downtime. So that is one of the major achievement for us, because if you see generally it's it has seen that when we go for a specialty lubricants or any sort of a good product, probably we have to incur some extra cost. So on the contrary, here with the right product and with the right methods and following the 5 lubricants right, we could able to save the cost savings, achieve this cost savings, and also able to increase the spare parts and reduce downtime. Yes, sir. So inventory level of grease has also gone down because we have now calculated quantity for the first fill and the regreasing as well. So it has gone down by more than 50%. Apart from this particular felt roll or any other applications, we have a possibility of replicating or using the same product in all the water resistance or water ingressed area like wire part, mold area, screening bearings or mixers and refiner bearings. Okay, so this is a one product which can be used across the water resistance area where we can get benefited. This is a table which is made for all of you to just have an idea about the cost saving. Even though if you look at the grease cost, probably we have a higher grease cost with 6,400, but with the right quantity and the right methods, we could able to achieve the cost savings. It also, this does not include any sort of a spare part or say production losses. Okay, so here, even though the cost of the grease, actual cost of the grease has gone double, like almost double, we are able to ensure the cost savings to the customer. The last slide of the case study, sir. Yeah. Fresh fill grease quantity was reduced by 35%. As we have seen, 370 grams we are now using, from 300 grams to 100 grams per 30 days. That was per bearing. Now we are regreasing. So regreasing quantity also gone down by almost 200%. And with this simple small mill, actually one machines, we could achieve almost 11,000 rupees of direct cost saving with the lubricant itself. So this is just to give you an idea about the cost saving part. Yes, sir. Thank you. This was all about the case studies about the water resistance area. Now we'll move to the paper machine dryer gearboxes. We have seen that this is one of the most, or say one of the candidate of synthetic lubricants. So this is a dryer end gearboxes. The operational temperature of that gearboxes is close to 70-90 degrees Celsius. It was synthetic oil was in use from the competitions. With oil changing frequency was close to 1 to 2 years based on the oil conditions. But here also we can note that the overall temperature of the application area was 70 to 90, but the temperature on the radiation temperature on the felt roll was close to 110 degrees Celsius. So it's a definite synthetic oil applications. Based on the details we collected, we recommended our PAO based 320 viscosity gear oil here. All the properties are generally at par with the other products, but one of the key taste results or the property, as we have seen two in the greases like water resistance and 4-volt well load, probably one of the key property for any gear oil is the FZZ load stage. Okay, so just wanted to briefly share what is this all about. This is basically, FZZ is basically a technical institute for the study of gear and drive mechanism, and this test is actually to determine the extent to which the gear lubricant help to prevent the scuffing on the tooth faces. Okay, and in this typical test, what happens is with the peripheral speed of 8.3 and oil sum temperature of 90, the gear run at a lower load stages initially. Okay, and then gradually the load stages increased and up to a level, and because of the load stages increase, which leads to a higher flash temperatures which occurs in the gears. Okay, and up to 12 stages generally the test has been carried out by the institute, and we have a wonderful product for this application which has a motor greater than 12 results. So with this, actually, what is the significance of this product or say stage test, we will see in the performance of the product. Next. Trial initiation. Here we have identified 4 dryer end gearboxes. The dryer end gearboxes, the sum capacity varies from 2.5 to can go up to 60 liters of sum capacity. So we have identified 4 and we have started our trial. The trial monitoring was periodically we have done physical visits, temperature monitoring, vibration analysis. We also collected oil samples in at various time and days. We could observe that after 6 months, the oil color, there was absolute no change in the oil color. So the trial was going in the right direction. Yes, sir. Next, sir. Vibration readings, we could able to monitor anytime the customer supports and help is very much required. So here also we have a wonderful support from the team. They could able to support us. This is entire year's vibration analysis. We could see that the earlier performance and the Barossin GP performance was at par in terms of vibrations as well. Next, sir. Next. When we, when we collected, the trial was started in May 2018. Okay, so we have collected after running of almost 14 months, that is a year and 2 months, and we collected the oil samples, and this is one of the report. If you clearly, we can see there is not a significant change in terms of oil viscosity. Next, sir. Yeah, this is one of the chart of the IR spectrum. IR spectrum, basically it's a tool, a wonderful tool actually, which is used to detect common contaminations and lubrication degradation. Okay, also additive degradation in any oil and greases. And as we have in Bangalore, we have a complete set of laboratory to support all our customers in terms of condition monitoring. So this is one of the analysis we have done. We have used the master IR chart and used oil samples, and in this also there is no significant change or deviation we could found in terms of any degradation or contaminations. Next, sir. To conclude this trial, the trial ran for almost 30 months. Yes, sir, please. We could found there is no change in the temperature and vibration readings. Only a slight color change we could observe after 20 months of running, 24 months of running continuous operations, which showcase actually the exceptional oxidation stability of the oil. Okay, which is an evident that the base oil and additives and the overall combination of the product is great. And with the support of our lab, we could found that after 1 year or maybe 14 months of running also, the oil viscosity was still intact. And that particular gearboxes has ran for almost 30 months, 2 years and 6 months without any oil change. So this is one of the very good performance of any gear oil in this such demanding application. Yeah, thank you, sir. So now the last case study from my side, and then probably Davinder sir will come in. Hot air fan bearings is with the synthetic greases. This is one of the high temperature, high speed applications. So I'll just go through it. There are total 9 hot air fans in paper machines. It's all pre-MG supply, post-MG supply, post size, backcoat, pre-coat, and then backcoat supply, top coat, and IR dryer. I'll just go to the application details. As usual, so we have collected all the once we understand and identified any applications wherein the improvement area is there, and we can support the customers. We generally ask for a time and lubrication audit possibility. So we have go for a study the application area. This is particular to backcoat supply fan. It was a spherical roller bearing. The interesting part was that non-drive end, the temperature was close to 100 degrees Celsius, 90 degrees to 100 degrees Celsius. And that RPM is also 2,870. The grease was in use was a very good grease, PTFE grease. The grease quantity which being used was 200 grams approximately at every 7 days. And the major issue or say major area of improvement was the grease was dripping from the bearing, frequent bearing failures, and very high rise or say abnormal rise in the bearing temperatures. We studied the completely the application area. We identified, and once we understand that there is a major issue with the lubrication failure in the plumber blocks, okay, and we submitted our detailed technical proposals with quantity of grease to be used with regreasing frequency can be maintained with the product recommendations, and we convinced a customer for a proper in-house trial so that we can prove that add some value in these applications, we can correct or arrest the bearing failures. Yes, sir. These are the temperature readings for your ready reference. We can clearly see that on the non-drive end, probably the temperature is close to 100. Is in some cases it's 102 as well. So we can note it down. Yeah. Exactly 42 grams of grease was measured, weighed, and then put in the 2 new bearings, both for drive end and not drive end. And we used measurements and done every possible these things. We also make sure that yes, sir, next. We also make sure during the filling also the grease is applied manually on the entire bearing and all the rollers lubricated properly. Okay, so generally it's our we are very much fortunate to have such customers who allow us to work together. So both drive end and non-drive end bearings are lubricated properly and ensured that no gaps of any rollers is left behind. Yes, sir. The trial monitoring is as usual with the help of customer and support of customers has been done. We monitored the trial for almost 15 days continuously. Every 3 hours, we took the temperature readings to understand, because temperature is one of the indicators, like very early indicator of any lubricant performance. Okay, so that is what we have done, and clearly we can see the maximum temperature on the non-drive side was 67 degrees Celsius, which is almost 30 degrees reduction in terms of temperature. Yes, sir. So based on overall performance, we can conclude that the customers found that there is a huge reduction in bearing temperature, close to 30 degrees Celsius minimum, and we could able to extend the lubrication interval from 7 days to 45 days, and that too without any bearing failures. Okay, that's a tremendous. This particular product has also proved to be a very cost-effective solutions, because of the 200 grams to 42 grams in terms of lubrication quantity consumption, and from 7 days to 45 days. So extension of lubrications, and that too without any bearing failure. So overall, despite we are being the almost 4 times costlier with respect to the earlier grease, we are able to prove, and customer also able to understand that. They also encourage us to go for that benefit of cost and benefit of right product with this particular product. Okay, and almost all the 9 fans are now running with this particular product in the customer end. So with that, probably I'll stop here, and before I move forward with Davinder sir's last section of the presentation, once again I would to reiterate the 5 rights in the lubrication excellence. Okay, right quality, right quantity, right time, right place, right procedure. And if we work with the 5 rights, probably will be a step closer in achieving the lubrication excellence, and we will be there to support you in this achieving lubrication excellence. Okay, with that, thank you very much for all of you, for all of your time, and I'm hopefully that will add some value to your plant. Thank you very much. Now Davinder sir, please. Davinder sir.
Sir, a very good evening again. We are left with just 3-4 slides. I mean, any question answers before that, or how do we go, sir?
We will take it later. We will take the question answer later.
Great.
So Davinder,
Okay.
please complete
Great.
your.
Yeah. Hari sir. So we have discussed actually most of the major applications. There are certain other applications which we can focus on. For example, in your wood preparation area, if you go back to the photograph we had shown, so these are generally very dusty areas, shock loads, and open air water ingression. So there are some special lubricants which are designed for these conditions. which will have a different kind of base oil. The base oil viscosity will be different. The thickness will be different, and we can surely help you select those products which are designed for these applications and will enhance the performance in the plant. Sorry, sir. Similarly, for pulp preparations, very low speed applications generally and very extremely heavily loaded. So greases with the additives, high load additives, and high base oil viscosity. To greases with properties to withstand the water and hot steam, high temperature properties. All those greases can be selected, and we have a special range. I mean, we are just not mentioning the names here, but if anyone requires, we can surely share the complete TDS along with the details of the product. Yeah. And then comes the recovery plant. You have big open gears, sir, in the kiln. We have girth gear lubricants for the same, specially designed. We cater a large number of girth gears in the other industry also, like for big cement plants are our customers. And we do have expertise in handling the girth gear. I mean, we have a special team also which can handle the girth gears. Paper machine, we all know, sir. The dryer bearings, the wet areas, hot air fans, specially designed lubricants for them. We have dual thickener lubricants, the urea greases Arisa was mentioning about. So we can surely select tailor-made products for these applications. I guess it's time for some Q&A, sir.
Yeah, okay. I will now request everybody that those who want to raise any questions, we will go back from here, come to the, and please raise your hands. Please raise your hand so that we can have the, kindly raise your hands, everybody, whosoever, so that we can know who wants to ask any question. Any questions, please raise your hand. Okay, Mr. Nili Murli, we are asking you to unmute, please. Unmute, and if possible, start your video. Yeah, and if possible, please start your video and go ahead and ask the question.
Sir, Beckham is a very good company, as you shared details. But why OEM is not recommended Beckham company greases? Only they mentioned about mobile and shell lubricants and these mineral oil types. Why Beckham is not there?
Mr. Hari, you want to speak? Who wants to answer this question? You have been, please unmute yourself, Mr. Hari.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you very much, sir. Interesting question. In fact, so far we have focused more on servicing our end customers, where we provide all the kind of technical services that we saw during the case studies. But currently we are working on certain OEMs as well in the paper industry. Very soon you will seek approvals from them. In fact, the Indian arm of the company is very closely interacting with us. Probably in the next down the year, 1 year time, you will find a very large paper OEM recommending our products. Thank you, sir.
Okay, Mr. Lalam Naidu, please unmute yourself. Mr. Naidu, please unmute.
Yeah, good evening, sir. It is a very good presentation.
Thank you, sir.
Hello.
Yeah, please go ahead. Ask your question.
Actually, I'm taking care of this APPM and JK paper in Raigada, Visakhapatnam and AP Andhra Pradesh. Actually, they are telling only OEM recommended grease only they want to use, unless until it is proven out, unless until there is a reference trial approvals about our grades and our product. So we need more support from your side. Wherever already our grease are proven, for the applications in paper industry. If you share it, no,
Mhm.
we will quote for contributing to our brand.
Can I request to all the participants, please use this platform for all technical questions. This
Okay.
marketing related, you can leave it one-to-one basis later. That would
Okay,
be
sir.
a good.
Noted, sir. Noted.
Thanks.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.
Any other question? Please raise your hand. Go to the reaction, and there is a column. There is a option of raising the hand. Please raise your hand. Yeah, Mr. Rudaram, please unmute yourself. Mr.
Good evening, sir.
Sailu
Good
Rudaram.
evening, sir, everybody. Good evening once again. Sir, this mineral oil to synthetic oil, we are shifting over, na, sir. This energy saving, we are telling, na, sir, due to reducing the fixtures. Any quantity or percentage we can tell to the customer, sir? 3%, 5%, 8%.
It depends on the condition of the gearbox, type of gears inside the gearbox, but yes, between 3 to 5% can definitely be expected.
Thank you so much.
Anybody else has any questions?
So, sir, you asked this question.
Dr. Alok Chatterjee, please unmute yourself. Dr. Alok Chatterjee, please unmute. Please. Go ahead.
Yeah, my question is for the size press roll.
We cannot see your picture. Please adjust your screen.
I mean, the voice is audible.
Voice is okay,
Yes,
but we cannot see your picture. If you like, you can adjust it.
I don't know how to do it.
Okay.
Yeah.
please carry.
More. I think you get the question. I will.
Okay.
I will try.
Yeah.
There is some problem here.
Never mind.
The
Go
question
ahead.
is in the flooded size press roll, especially in the drive side, a lot of starch solution, it penetrates inside, and the bearing failures are very, very frequent. Is this question is clear?
Yeah.
To Mr. Davinderjit Singh?
Sir.
Yes. So is there any remedy to protect the starch cannot go inside the bearing, or some special construction technology of the bearing so that the size press rolls bearing, only because of the bearing, the roll changings are also to be done. So that's a very, very downtime plus irritating factor, plus bearing failures also. Bearing manufacturers, obviously they say that the starch getting in, and along with the starch, there are a lot of chemicals, including OBA and otherwise some special chemicals also for increasing the stiffness, that is SAE. So these are very, very corrosive. So how to protect the bearing and also do some good lubrication?
So probably it needs to be seen at the in the plant. But for bearing, I mean, is there any sealing arrangement, and is the seal failing, or how is it actually?
No, the bearing along with the normal housing, but there is always a gap.
Okay.
In between two roll, the starch solution is squeezed, and the paper passes through carrying the coating. Coating is only 1 to 2 grams. But in the process, the entire pool, there is a flooded, there is a pool through which the starch solution, plus, as I said, that synthetic acrylic, some emulsion is also there. Also, OBA is there. Optical bleaching agents are there for the paper surface, especially in the writing printing. Also in the kraft paper for the RCT or the burst factor increasing. These are mostly more than 99% are flooded size press. Very rare there are film size press. There the problem is less. Naturally, the starch, along with the bearing and housing, there is a thin gap, so it enters. Of course, this starch solution is hardly 10% balanced, 90% is water. So it is absolutely liquid. It gets in, and the bearing is obviously failing very frequently. The life is hardly 1 month, 1.5 months. Is there anything?
Sir, we can surely look into the application and select appropriate grease which will offer resistance. I mean, we cannot stop starch from moving in, but which will offer resistance and try to prolong the life at the application area, sir. This can be probably seen, and then we can offer a solution if it can be done through a grease. It can surely be looked into.
That's fine. I think
If you propose, sir, our team can probably visit the site wherever you say, and then we can discuss this thing in detail, sir.
No, where are you located? I mean,
Sir, I am in Delhi.
Okay,
sir, I am in Delhi, but we have people all across.
That's fine.
So, I mean, wherever you say.
No. I am also in Delhi. So,
okay, great.
You can talk to, I will put it, Mr. Rodi Sharma, visit the Genus paper. There are two machines, both the machine are size press and both the machine having the bearing failure. You can visit, I mean, similar many mills in the Muzaffarnagar area, which is 2-3 hours drive from Delhi.
Yeah, sure, sir, sure.
Talk to Pankaj Agarwal, he will organize 10 paper mill visits in that area or in Kashipur area.
Right, so, great. We have teams, sir. Yeah.
Yeah.
And we can visit them.
I mean, I can give you in different from
Dr. Chatterjee, Dr. Chatterjee,
yes,
Dr. Chatterjee, this handshaking you can take offline with.
No, I have off it.
Okay. Yeah. Anybody else? Any question, please? Anybody else has any questions? Okay. Before I take rather Anil Kumar ji for conclusion and comments, I'm just opening the poll scenario. Please just take a minute of time to fill it. I'm sure it has appeared on your screen. So please just tick it. It's all objective tag. Please. I see people are still voting. Please, good. Can I close the polling now? Okay. So, okay. So 72% people have participated and 61% find it extremely informative, and most of the people feel that they made a good general knowledge about lubricant operating procedure. Both of this part of this presentation has been quite appreciated. With the Carl Welcome team, I'll separately share the poll results in detail. With this now, and over to Anilji. Anilji.
Thank you, Mr. Goel. I must thank the entire Carl Beckham team. It was absolutely very informative presentation. In fact, very frankly, while listening to Mr. Hari Subramaniam, I was reminded of my college days, good 50 years ago. It was more say absolutely listening to a knowledgeable professor on a subject, very well presented. In fact, it was such a detailed and very informative presentation. Devinder also was quite up to date, and so was Kaushik. So thank you very much. And we look forward. I think there are lots of takeaways from the seminar. The importance of lubricants cannot be overemphasized. But generally, as on the operative side, on the process side, we tend to take it for granted. we leave it to the maintenance man and without bothering that what kind of lubricants are being used. And most of the time, the initial cost of lubricant becomes the determining factor, which should not generally be, but that is what the human nature is, that why should I pay 550 rupees instead of 250 rupees, which is the price of the competitor. So, but I think it was very well presented, where the importance of taking the total life cost of a lubricant, and then the increase in life of bearings, life of equipment, the running efficiencies were have to be considered. Once again, thank you very much for making this presentation. Thanking all the participants for taking time out, and few of them I think were on a weekend holiday also, but coming to IPTA seminar. Thanks to Mr. Goel that sitting in USA at 4 o'clock or 4:30 in the morning and making it possible. And thank you, Sanjay, for taking time out also and making this webinar possible. Thank you once again.
Sanjay ji, anything, any word from you?
No, it was very interesting to listen to this. But still in the industry, people are not giving the due importance which lubrication deserves. It can give a lot more people there. Slowly, I suppose people have to create that awareness in the industry much more. I'm sure as we progress, we'll learn more and save a lot of money on that. So look forward to more interesting interaction with these people, with the team. And I suppose people will have to play a more aggressive role in going to the industries and making them more and more. Seminars like this will help in that. So all the best, and let's hope our association with IPTA and his team will continue. Thank you very much.